Welcome to part 2 of polynomial division. Now, we're going to start off with this. Notice we're dividing by a binomial, so we need to use that long division technique. We can't just do the short division on here. And what we need to also do is, there was a long time ago, there's a thing we had to do where we had to put in all the missing terms in a polynomial, and we need to do that for this right here. That is, we have an x to the fourth, but we have 0x cubes, and we have 0x squareds, and we have 0 x's, and we have minus 81. Now, we need to do this in order to make sure that everything lines up nicely. So, I think we just need to have all these powers represented. So, because the highest power, or the highest degree term in the numerator is x to the fourth, we need every degree term less than that represented. So once again, when we do this, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So first thing we're doing is dividing this by this. So if we have x to the fourth over x, this is going to give us an x cubed. So we put our x cubed up here. So now we divided. Now we multiply. So we multiply this by both these terms right here. So x cubed times x is x to the fourth. X cubed times negative 3 is negative 3x cubed. Okay, so we multiplied, now we subtract. This goes in here, making this negative. This goes in here, making that positive. So these cancel. 3x cubed. And then we bring down our 0x squared, and we go through another iteration of this. So we're dividing this first term by the first term. So if I have 3x cubed divided by x, that's going to give us a 3x squared. So plus 3x squared. So we divide. Now we multiply. We multiply by both these terms. 3x squared times x is 3x cubed. 3x times negative 3 is negative 9x squared. So we've multiplied. Now it's time to subtract. So here, subtract this off. This goes in here, making that negative. It goes in here, making that positive. These cancel. So we have 9x squared. So we've done our subtraction. Now we bring down. So we bring this plus 0x down. So once again, we're back to dividing. So we divide the first term here by the first term here. So 9x squared divided by x is going to be a 9x. So we put that up here. Plus 9x. So we divide. Now we multiply. 9x times x is 9x squared. 9x times negative 3 is negative 27x. So we multiplied. Now we subtract. So subtract this off. These cancel. This goes in here, and this goes in here, make that positive. So we have 27x minus, we bring down our negative 81 now. Since we brought down the last thing, we have one more iteration and go into this. So last thing we need to do is our divide, subtract, divide, multiply, subtract. So we divide here. 27x over x gives us 27. So plus 27. Now we multiply. 27 times x is 27x. 27 times negative 3 is negative 81. Subtract here. This goes in here, making that negative and that positive. Remainder 0. So, a couple things. We need to put all the missing terms in when we have this situation going on here. So we needed all the missing terms there. When we get a remainder of 0, that means that this polynomial divides the polynomial evenly. And then what we get here is, when we divide this out, we get x cubed plus 3x squared plus 9x plus 27. And that is the answer right there. So that's that one. So let's move on to this next one here. I'll try to do this next one in the space provided. Now, once again, we're dividing by a binomial, so we can't just split the terms up. So we have x plus 6, x squared minus 4x minus 14. So, once again, we're dividing the first term here by the first term here. So we have x squared over x. That's just going to give us an x. So we divide this. This cancels one of these, giving us an x. So I'll put my x up there. We did our division. Now we need to multiply. So x times x is x squared. X times 6 is plus 6x. So we multiplied. Now it's time to subtract. This is going to go in here, making this negative. Go in there, making that negative. These cancel. Negative 4x minus 6x is negative 10x. Then bring down our negative 14. So we brought down the last thing. We have one more divide, multiply, subtract, then we'll have a remainder. So now, once again, we're dividing this first term by this right here. So negative 10x over x is negative 10. So we did our division. Now we multiply. Negative 10x minus 60. Okay, now we subtract. This goes in here, making that positive. Excuse me. This goes in here, making this positive. So these cancel. 60 minus 14 is 46. So our remainder is 46. So this one right here, how many times does this go into this? Well, it goes into there x minus 10 times with the remainder of 46, which is over the divisor, x plus 6. So that is the answer we're looking for on that one right there. Okay. So we got a couple more of these, and I know these are hard. Just be really careful and watch your bookkeeping and make sure you're doing everything, really big, really plain. It really does help a lot with this. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this next one here. We have 2x minus 3 goes into. Now, once again, because we have a 20x to the fourth, and we have our negative 2x cubed. Now we need x squared because they're not represented because we have 0. We have plus 0 x squared plus 5x plus 3. So now it's time to divide, multiply, subtract. So we're dividing the first term here by the first term here. So 20x to the fourth divided by 2x. Well, 20 divided by 2 is 10. X to the fourth divided by x is x cubed. So we have a 10x cubed. So I've done my division. Now it's time to multiply. Now we're multiplying it by both these terms once again. 10x cubed times 2x is 20x to the fourth. 10x cubed times negative 3 is going to be negative 30x to the third. So we've divided, we've multiplied. Now it's time to subtract. So that comes in here. I'm going to make this negative, make that positive. So these cancel off, and they should always cancel off by construction of the technique that we use here. If they don't cancel, you've done something wrong. So you want to check that out. Negative 2x cubed plus 30x is 28x cubed. And then we bring down our plus 0x squared. So we're back to the beginning with divide. So we have 28x cubed divided by 2x. 28 divided by 2 is 14. X cubed divided by x is x squared. So plus 14x squared. So now we multiply. 14x squared times 2x is 28x cubed. Now, 14 times negative 3, 14 times 3 is 42, so we have negative 42x squared. So we've multiplied, now it's time to subtract. And one real common thing here is, in the subtraction, people forget to distribute to the second piece there, making that positive now. Now, this is negative, so these cancel off. 0 plus 42x squared is 42x squared. Bring down our plus 5x. Okay, so now we go back to our, I need some more division bar over here. Whoop. Now we need to go back to our divide. First term, 42 divided by our 2x. So 42x squared divided by our 2x. That is going to be 21x. So 21x. So 21x times 2 is 42x squared. 21 times negative 3 is negative 63x. So now it's time to subtract again. Get blue. The negative goes in here making that negative. The negative goes in here making that positive. These cancel off. 5x plus 63x is 68x. And then we bring down our 3 plus 3. Oh boy. Whoops. I want to move this up a little bit. Okay, so we have our one last divide. We're going to divide our 68x by 2x. So 68 divided by 2 is 34, and x's cancel, so plus 34. So now we multiply. 34 times 2, 68x. And then we have our 34 times our negative 3, which is negative 102. We subtract. This goes in here making that negative, goes in here making that positive, 105. So our remainder is 105. So, remainder 105. So, this polynomial divided by this right here, I'm going to write it right here. We have 10x cubed plus 14x squared plus 21x minus that's not a plus 34, okay, sorry, plus 34 plus our remainder 105 over our divisor 2x minus 3, and that's the answer. And I know this is kind of a long process, but that's how you do it. If there was an easier way to do it, believe me, I would definitely let you know. So let's take a look at this last one, and then we'll call it good for this, and we'll talk about synthetic division next. So here we have our 2x minus 3 going into 2x cubed minus 9x squared plus 11x minus 3. So we're still doing our division. So we divide this by this. So we have a 2x cubed divided by 2x. 2's cancel, so we get an x squared. So we did our division. Now it's time to multiply. X squared times 2x is 2x cubed. X squared times negative 3 is negative 3x cubed. Squared. That's a squared. So now we're going to subtract. This negative makes that negative and this positive. These cancel. 3x squared, negative 9x squared plus 3x squared is negative 6x squared. Then we bring down our plus 11x. So we divide again. We're dividing this first term here by the first term here. So negative 6x squared divided by 2x. So our negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. X squared divided by x is x. So we have minus 3x. So we did our division. Now it's time to multiply. Negative 3x times 2 is negative 6x squared. So negative 3x times 2x, negative 6x squared. Negative 3x times negative 3 is plus 9x. So we did our multiplication. Now it's time to subtract. Now this negative goes in here making that a positive, goes in here making that negative. These cancel. 11x minus 9x is 2x. So we have 2x, bring down our negative 3. So we have one more divide, multiply, subtract. So divide the first term here, 2x, by the first term there, 2x. That gives us 1, so plus 1. Now we multiply. 1 times 2x is 2x. 1 times negative 3 is minus 3. Subtract this off. That makes that negative and that positive. Remainder 0. So we can say that 2x cubed minus 9x squared plus 11x minus 3 all divided by 2x minus 3 is x squared minus 3x plus 1. It went in evenly. So hopefully that made sense. If you need to rewatch it, or to have some ancillary videos or something like that, totally understandable. This stuff is definitely tough, and there's lots of places where you can make mistakes, so be really careful. Alright, see you next time.